Hello ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go over checkpoint 2 for your ecosystem project. So again, this is a little checklist to make sure you guys are doing what you need to be doing. So we're going to jump right in. So number 1, I have my ecosystem project here, and I got to make sure I make a copy first. So I'm going to do File, Make a Copy of the entire presentation, and I'm going to call this checkpoint 2. Boom. Now that I have that, it should load up on this next page. Now I'll be ready to submit this to the Dropbox later on. So I'm going to start off by quickly presenting this. So as I go down, right, here's all the stuff from lesson 1, food web. Now we're looking at part 2. So if part 2, you want to mention, of course, your Pokemon's diet, a little bit about that information, right? So again, you might be coming up with a few ideas. Does your Pokemon eat only meat? Does it eat grass? Like, what things are what is it consuming? Then of course you're looking at its structural and behavioral adaptations. Again, I gave you guys some examples. Remember, structural, think your thumbs, right? Behavioral, think something that it's doing. I gave you guys the example of little brother or sister stubbing their toe. What do? They cry, right? That's to get attention, right? It's a behavioral adaptation. And then of course, how has he evolved to fit into his environment? So you can try and answer that question as well. Again, that one's a little bit of brainstorming. Try and want to challenge you guys a little bit with that one there. So we're moving on to part 3. So part 3, right, you're probably going to need quite a few slides, same like the other one with part 2. So your symbiotic relationships, again, I want one of each one of those 3, so parasitism, mutualism, and commensalism. Now you don't have to use your Pokemon like I explained before, right? He doesn't have to be involved in these interactions. Okay, it's an interaction happening in your ecosystem between various living things. So an example there, a mosquito, right, and a mammal, right? Our next one, of course, is that sentence there of what happens if something gets removed out of your food web. So over there on the bottom right, I have a big X on the squirrel in my ecosystem. So what happens to the energy in my ecosystem? Right? How does this change things around? So you guys got to be answering that. So again, pick something out of your food web, put an X on it, and then tell me a bit about what's happening if that species is lost. And your last one too is, of course, looking at competition, bioinvasion, and predation. So again, I gave you guys a little example there of predation, right? So again, predator versus prey. So we've got the lion attacking the zebra down there. So you need to make sure you have an example of each of those for your ecosystem. Now, if you can't find examples of parasitism, mutualism, commensalism, or bioinvasion, predation, or competition in your ecosystem, okay, you've really struggled, you can't find them, give an example of another ecosystem then for those, and just make a note of it for me. But I'm pretty sure you guys should be able to find examples of all of these in your ecosystems. But again, if not, do that. And of course, with bioinvasion, right, there's a little video there in the instructions as well. I showed you guys in a couple of the classes too on the Asian carp. Also, if you look in Google goldfish in Hamilton, Ontario, you'll find a video on how goldfish were introduced into some ponds and streams and caused a whole bunch of problems. So again, these are the parts that you need to submit. So if I exit this presentation and I go to our Google Classroom, for checkpoint for unit 2, I hit view assignment, right, and I'll submit it in there, right? So make sure you guys submit it and place it in there. So again, you got to make sure you submit it and hit mark as done. And that's all there is to it. So again, this is going to be due in a few days. So again, that's, I believe, on October 11th. So good luck and happy Friday, everyone. Till next class.